My name is Nahid, and I'm co-director of the International Association of Sufism, which is an association of Sufis from around the world. And it was founded in 1983, so it is almost 7 years old. And so the mission of the International Association of Sufism is to create a line of dialogues among Sufis from around the world. Sufism is the mysticism of Islam, as Kabbalah is the mysticism of Judaism. So it began from the time of the Prophet of Islam to a group of people who were from different parts of the world, actually, coming to his teaching sessions. And they used to sit on the platform of his mosque in Medina, and they were called Ahl Sufi, the people of the platform. So it is from them that the history of Sufism begins. So their question was that, you talk about this God, do I have any access to that God? Can I also understand that God? So they have developed practices such as meditation, concentration, purification, that over a period of time became a part of the Sufi practices. So if the Sufis are the mystics of Islam, so the first slogan in Islam is La ilaha illallah, there is nothing except that there is a divine unity. So the first thing is I have to understand that this is temporary. So if I want to access to the eternal or the infinite, then I have to find a way to go to that point of connection that connects the small body into the ultimate reality. I have to mention that there are different Sufis. Not every one of us look the same, and we are not looking for the same thing. And we do not understand the same thing. So I can just divide Sufi path into two major paths. One is the philosophical Sufism. It means that you become interested, for example, in Sufism, you begin to learn about it, its philosophy, memorize all those things, but that doesn't make you a Sufi. You become, you look like a Sufi. You understand Sufi principles, or you understand Sufi philosophy. You become a Sufi when you actually practice Sufism. So there is a difference between these two. Well, I think the question of non-duality has been the concern of human beings from the beginning of human civilization, because we want to see if there is any essence to all that there is. And I think the question of who I am, where I'm going, where I'm coming from, and all those things, it has a universal message to it. And so it is not for 21st century, probably it is from the very beginning of our known time civilization. These questions have been a part of the human literature, human psyche, human philosophy, human science. So the question of non-duality is that, so actually what is this non-duality? When we see around ourselves duality, there is you and I, there is me and God, there is mind and heart, there is this and that. So is there any essence to all this? Are we just making ourselves hopeful for something that is not there? So this question can be reviewed from many different points of view. From science, that science tells us that we can just dissect elements to the point that we cannot dissect anymore. So, but the mystery remains in that element that we cannot divide any longer. And I think probably, I'm not in the field of science, I think probably science would look at this element and says, well, if I could know the heart of this element, the core of this element, probably the whole mystery would be unveiled to me. Hopefully sometimes in future. Then there is philosophy. Philosophy talks to the point that you say, enough is enough. You know, how much can I learn from reasoning and logic, which is ultimately limited? And then it comes to spirituality and religion. Nowadays we use the word spirituality for religion for whatever reason. Religion divides in many different sects or disciplines. There is theology, but that says there is one God, and then you have to believe that without any reason. And then there is again philosophy that goes through extreme of reasoning. And then it comes to mysticism, probably in every religion, including Sufism, that says, okay, all may be fine, but I need to know, I need to experience that myself. So in Sufism, many times, especially in poetry, we come to the metaphor of raindrop and ocean. Ultimately, raindrop is the ocean. When it falls into the ocean, it realizes that it is the ocean. So unless we find that reality within our own selves, then duality remains. So the question of non-duality is that we can go through explanations, but that doesn't solve anything. The thing is that if I have any access to that non-duality, or actually if I have any access to that infinity, to that divinity within myself, religion says there is. So it remains that if you go to that point in yourself. There are two answers to that. One is through philosophy, the other one is through mysticism. And Islamic philosophy has created such a complex, complicated ways of reasonings and explanations. For example, one example that I can remember, if I remember my Islamic philosophy long time ago, is that the image of, ultimate being refers to, the metaphor is the ocean, always used in probably every religion. So metaphor is the ocean. So if the being is like the ocean, there is a wave on the ocean. So the wave is not the ocean, is wave. So that is the reasoning in philosophy. So it means that the wave is not the ocean, but is a part of the ocean. Oh, so good. So that's fine. But in Sufism, actually, you go back to the metaphor of raindrop. Raindrop, in that limitation, is a part of that ocean, but it doesn't recognize that. When it falls into the ocean, becomes the ocean. So it is not that there is separation, that there are dualities. There is just one unity. The only thing is that I have to understand that within my limitation, there is a reality that I am able to access to. And it is from this limitation. So in Sufism, you do not disregard this. That is why in Sufism, there is no mortification. You do not disregard whatever nature has given to you. This is the only tool that you have. So through this limitation, you can find that infinite reality within you. So the only thing is that you have to find that source. Where is that connecting point? Many times we talk about body and soul or spirit. We talk about mind and heart. We talk about light and dark. We talk about all these things. But all these talks are about you. Only you. So there is only one God. And that's that, in its limitation and its infinity. So that makes Sufism actually, I had seen that when, especially in Sufi poetry, in philosophy we tend to argue, debate. But those ideologies, they are expressed in poetry, immediately it is as if we drop the veil of argument and say, oh, it really makes sense, I am there. Because poetry tends not to argue, to just talk to the heart or to the spirit or the soul of the listener. So that is how Sufi poetry especially had become such an important tool of transformation. Because you get to that point and say, yes, this is it. So you are that ultimate reality in your finite and your infinity. Of course, I have to say, in Islam, every individual has the rights. So Islam is not a group religion. It is individual religion. And according to the teaching of the Prophet of Islam, the road to God is to the number of people. So it means that your God is different from my God. Your understanding is different from mine. So illumination is that when you are in darkness, you actually do not see. You have to turn on the light so you can see what is going on. So illumination is what you are probably seeking and ultimately opening the door towards yourself so you would be able to see better. So it comes through practices. It is not just a theory or it is not a philosophy. In Sufism, philosophy has to become actuality. many people may be happy with explanations. When you say water, water, your thirst would go away. But my thirst would not go away until I drink the water. And once I drink that water, I cannot really transfer my experience to you. You have to drink your water. I is there. I am here. So I cannot just deny that. The beauty of Sufi, well, with all due respect, with all religion, I cannot talk about any religion, any science, any discipline. I don't represent anyone except myself. So that I want to make sure that it is clear. Well, I do exist. I am here. Maybe temporary, maybe for a period of time. But I am here. And this is the only tool that I have. If I want to access to any infinity, eternity, God, whatever we call it. So maybe ultimately that a small self that I had seen, the small self, the bigger self, the microcosm, the macrocosm and all, ultimately to understand that ultimate reality, the limitation has to dissolve into the ultimate reality. But limitation exists. It is a part of the existence. That is what the Sufism is talking about. You do exist, and that is the only tool that you have to get to the ultimate reality. But ultimately, it is for the ultimate reality to understand itself. So it means you have to dissolve. That is why the notion of fana, annihilation, becomes such an important principle in Sufism. The small self or limitation has to dissolve into the ultimate self. So ultimate self announces, I do indeed exist. When I teach my students, I see that it is just human intellect that would like to make things complex. So we say, well, I am the important person. Well, the rules of nature are not that complex. There is the rule of attraction, there is a rule of harmony. And if we step out of our complexity and just take a look at the nature through the eyes of appreciation and beauty, we see a whole different scenario. And why there are complexity, it is just because we want to understand the gist of the nature through our philosophical explanation. Let's drop that. Just appreciate the nature. There are so many beautiful flowers, dimensions, colors, sounds, and the ultimate reality is I'm here at this moment of time. And this is such an important issue. I always say that at the beginning of creation, whatever was that beginning of creation, I'm not even going beyond that. I really don't want to know at this point. Whatever happens in that beginning of coming together of nature, this source was thinking about me, the very me, Nahid Anga, about you only. Why? Because it is from all that everything was created. So in this moment of time, you are given this space in time against all odds. Just imagine, in this beautiful design of universe, you have claimed this space in time as your own. And nobody can take it from you. So why this complexity? It is that beautiful. So this nature, this whatever is there, is thinking about me. So the only thing remains for me is that, thank you so much that you are thinking about it. I don't know who you are, but I'm so glad that you are thinking about me. So I don't see any complexity. If we change our view from investigation into appreciation, the whole world changes. I really don't need to know. Why should I know? I know that I am given this time. The moment that you are born, you actually claim it as your own. You write it in your passport, in your memoirs, everything. That is your time. And nobody owns that time except you. It cannot get better than this. Whatever you call it, thank you so much that you were giving me this opportunity. If I was not there, I wouldn't see you. If I was not there, I wouldn't see this beautiful nature. So why should I question all these things? Thanks. So that is the gist of Sufism. You go back to the heart of Sufism and several. In Sufism, one of the states of practices is a state of awe. You just come to the being and say, I don't have anything to say. I'm just speechless. There is nothing to say. So from all this, can any one of our philosophical reasoning can open a door? No. Scientific reasoning? No. Because we are so much absorbed in here. We just want to say we are right. Just let go of this. You are right. This universe has given you time, actually a space in time. This is yours. So what else I'm looking for? The only thing is that I have to appreciate that. There are many different schools of Sufism. So every one of these schools are focused on one kind of discipline. So, for example, one may be very intellectually focused. The other one may be very much focused in purity. The other one on meditation. So there are many different practices that we cannot combine them. So all Sufis practice such and such. That is not true. So every school practices differently. My special school that I can talk about is that you have to find a way to connect to your own divinity. And the practice comes through the practice of heart, meaning that heart meditation. So, and according to this special school of thought or Sufi practice, heart has different stages. So it begins with actual physical heart. So you have to go further and further and become deeper and deeper until you find that connection. And it is there that the illumination happens. You become, that space becomes illuminated, light, so you would be able to see. And with this practice, you have to be really patient, because patience is also one of the practices. You just have to wait until the time is right. Not the time that I'm hoping to be right. If there is an intellect within this design, then that intellect is also aware. So it is not that I'm the only aware and I'm the only intellect, I'm the only one who knows. No, that is not true. This whole design, including the nature, the whole design has intellect within itself, has awareness within itself. So it is not that I'm here and nothing knows that I'm here. No, I am here. So this special practice is the practice of heart. So you go through the meditation of heart, meaning listening to your heart to begin with. You would be surprised how many of us actually do not know where the heart is. It is not enough to say here, your system doesn't know where the heart is. So you draw all your energies towards the center of the heart and you listen to your heartbeat. And listening happens not through the ears. You actually can, over a period of time, you actually can hear your heartbeat without your ear. It means that then there is you are able to focus the energy of hearing, and you give your heart the capacity to hear itself. So that is why, that is my explanation of revelation. That capacity of seeing had come to the heart, so the heart can see. Otherwise, when it comes to the eyes, it is limited. So I would be frightened to see, something in the middle of the night talking to me. I would say, well, maybe I should take some more medication in this case. But that is not the case. And sometimes we do not give credit to all these teachers who had some kind of revelation. So when you go to that space of revelation, it actually, all religions, all mysticism, all names have to fall. You become completely nameless. You don't have any name. So you become the seeing that is becoming united with the object of seeing. So it becomes united. So ultimately your system has to be able to, without your eyes that is limited, without your ears, without all the senses that are very much limited, you have to give your heart the capacity to see and hear. A while ago, quite a long time ago, I was reading about the biographies of many of these famous people like Einstein, and to see what changed them. Because in that, if the person who also discovers one of these laws, it is in the state of meditation. There is something happens that that person suddenly realizes the law that didn't realize a few minutes ago. So he says something that actually did stay with me. He was, in his biography, he was writing that over a period of time, you would be able to gather all the electromagnetic system in one place, in a center. When all these energies work together, you can bring the energies into one surrounding of electromagnetic system. And it was there that I thought, so that is how meditation actually, the revelation actually happens. Because you bring such an enormous energy around you that it attracts certain waves within that center, that suddenly you realize something that you didn't realize before. It means that this universe is talking, but I'm unable to hear because I'm not there. So when I go there, actually I would be able to hear. It did make sense to me. Science can ultimately bring us to some kind of understanding that if you create that electromagnetic system around yourself, and that is how Sufi meditation is. You always sit in one place. You don't change your place. You sit in one place, and always at certain time, you don't change the time. You just sit, for example, 10 o'clock at night and you do that every time. You don't change your place. And your place has to be clean. And if you're lucky, you always have the same kind of clothing that you always keep it clean. So everything is the same. So these mystics of the old knew something that are teaching us, that you have to create that system around yourself so familiar waves would pass through this. So you would be able to block whatever you do not like. And that is also part of the heart meditation. It is not that you open your heart. You actually close your heart. That is something that sometimes we are surprised. You think that you should open your heart. No, you do not open your heart to everything that is there. You actually close your heart and wait until favorable energies to come. So you are not open to all energies. You are actually closing yourself. That is the gist of meditation. You are actually closing yourself. You are not opening yourself. So it may be a little bit different from other mysticism or mystic practices, or maybe not. Because ultimately you have to find your own place.